Hello you lovely people, and welcome. Today is the 7th of October 2022 and we see the release of Aerial Simulation's Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk for Flight Sim. Now, I knew it was being worked on. I didn't know when a release date was forthcoming, and the only reason I know that it came out today is because my cousin texted me to let me know that that was the case. So the first thing I did was go to Just Flight, couldn't see it. Went to Sim Market, couldn't see it. Those are my go-to places for modules when I buy them. So I thought he might be wrong. So it sort of clicked. Look at the marketplace. So come on the sim, went on the marketplace. As you can see with the background there, I do own it, so it has been released. But if we go in and search F-117, you can see there it is in the marketplace. Gives you a rundown on what it's capable of in sim, a bit of the history, specifications, some obligatory screenshots, as well as some livery screenshots as well. Now, this is my first con of the modules. Just for my personal preference. I don't like the idea of buying from the sim itself. I like to buy from external vendors. That way they compete for prices. You can get much better value for your money if there is competition. This seems to have just gone straight to the marketplace. No real attempt at releasing it anywhere else. So just for my preference, you may be different, but I don't like to buy from the marketplace, simply because if you're buying from the marketplace, you're not helping these other people out, and there's just no competition for prices. But other than that, yeah, it's here, and yeah, let's get into it and have a look. Now, if I come into the aircraft selection page, you'll see that it's the first one that pops up. It's been named Aerial Simulations and not Lockheed, so it'll be the first one on your list. If we go into liveries, there are a number of them. Some of them more famous than others. Others just normal in-service black, I guess you could call it. But we have 843 here, which is in the farewell scheme, which is the one with the American flag plastered underneath it. We have our 789 shark mouth livery there, which is an odd choice of decoration for a stealth aircraft. Then we have the YF-117 scheme here, which is 79-10780, which is also known as Ship 1. The reason behind this, I don't know, earth-toned camouflage is Lockheed knew they couldn't keep the aircraft a secret for much longer, so what they did is they sat down, they brainstormed on a livery or a scheme, and they thought, well, if they're going to see it, let's try and confuse the shape of the aircraft as much as possible. Hence the reason for the different deserty tones there, so that if the aircraft was spotted and was up against a mountainous background, you couldn't really tell the shape of the aircraft. So that's the reasoning behind that one. And then my personal favourite, which is Grey Dragon here. Not 100% sure on the reasoning behind this scheme, but it does look good. But I'm just going to go with the bog standard black for this video. So let's jump into the cockpit. So inside the office, let's have a look around, and we'll start from left to right. I mean, this cockpit has been absolutely beautifully recreated in the sim. Obviously not everything will be usable, not everything's clickable, due to limitations of the simulator itself, but they've made the most of what they can use, and they've done it well. Very busy side of the cockpit on the right here, and what I'll do is I will include a picture of the original cockpit just to show you how close they've come to recreating it on here. Right, and we'll get this thing breathing and look at some of the live side of stuff. Right, so the Dragon is now breathing. Let's have a look around, and I've got some cockpit lighting going on just to show you some of the more darker areas. But we have a green light here, which is an emergency parking brake. Now, the original F-117 doesn't have a parking brake. It's always chocked up when it's on the ground. So they've added an emergency power brake just to make it a little bit easier for anybody else who's not used to having an aircraft just roll away from them. So zooming out, these are our three, obviously our lights for the landing gear. Our MFDs are all lit up. Unfortunately the central screen here doesn't do anything. I've tried clicking numerous things and going through the manual. I can't find anything on that. We can turn the lighting up on the UFC here. You can't see it because the sun's on it at the moment, but once we start flying you should be able to see the writing on it. Our HUD here, we do have a declutter system here on the UFC. If we just grab this switch here, as you can see, we can declutter right down to the essentials. If we come to the right hand side here, we've got the vitals for both the engines, and then over on the right hand side we've got our various switches for let's say we've got TACAN, ILS here, amongst other bits and pieces, pitot, windshield heat, the canopy switches here, locking mechanism for the canopy. So yeah, it's quite a busy cockpit. We can also get rid of the flight stick if we want to, but none of this is clickable, so I don't see any real point in that. But we are up and running. Everything's good. Our annunciator panel is empty. We're good to roll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the taxi loop all the way round to the end of the runway, and then we're going to take off. So let's get the ball rolling. I'm going to put the toe brakes on, take off the emergency power brake, and just make sure that we've got everything where it needs to be, which it is. Okay, and we're just going to throttle up slightly, because once this thing gets rolling on the ground it will get away from you. Taxi lights are on. If we put the anti-skids on, which they are. Now with the HUD you'll find that it jitters from left to right. I'm not sure if it's just my system causing that or if it's actually the module in general. So it'd be interesting to find out if anybody else has got that issue. But yeah, we'll just taxi around the loop and stop at the end of the runway. Right, okay, so let's do a control system check. Yep, all looks good. All freedom there, nozzle steering is good, as we've just used that anyway. So back in. Right, so before we roll, we're going to switch on the old landing lights. Now, I'm going to need some navigation to get back to Fairford. So like I said before, we've got a TACAN here. We've got 81X, which is the TACAN for Fairford. Still not 100% sure if the TACAN system is fully implemented or even implemented on Flight Sim at the moment. Anyone not aware, TACAN is Tactical Air Navigation, which most air bases use in the form of a code, and can be either an X or a Y, but in this case nothing can be changed. Just the volume and power buttons change the numbers on the actual dial there. None of this can be flicked, and on our ILS again, power and volume will change the frequencies. So I have a TACAN, I have an ILS. Now to get any readings at all, I don't know why I'm doing this at the moment because I'm not doing a tutorial, but I thought I'd throw this anyway. For the HSI over here, you can either have it in TACAN mode or in ILS mode. Now to get these to work, obviously if I was away from Fairford, wanted to get to find the TACAN, we'd flick it over there, but we need to extend the aerial, and if we go outside you'll see the blade aerial has actually been extended from the top of the aircraft there. Okay, so we'll retract that, come down here, and the same thing for the localizer ILS. Again, if we want to use these for ILS, we would need to flick that over to ILS. We'd need to extend the antenna, so this one at the end here, flick that up, and then you'll see that things have changed here and we're now in ILS mode. But if we retract that antenna, everything goes back to default. Anyway, we'll get on the runway, get rolling, and we'll look at some more bits of the aircraft. Okay, so we're all lined up, all good to go. Not going to put any of the antennas out just yet. All frequencies are tuned in. We'll get up in the air, and I'll show you the bomb bays and some other bits and pieces. Now you've got to remember that even though this was known as the stealth fighter, it didn't have the manoeuvrability or the acceleration or top speed of a fighter, so please don't expect F-18 type performance. This thing will be slow to accelerate. It's very unstable in low speeds. It will leave the flight envelope anything below around about 160 knots that I've seen so far on approach to coming into land. So the faster you can get it, the more stable it will be. So let's get rolling. Throttle's all the way up. Release the brakes. Back on the stick. And we're up. Gear up. Now you've got to remember there are no flaps on this aircraft, so slow flight will be a challenge. Getting off the ground there was a bit of a challenge. I think I may have rotated a little bit too early. So we're up. That's all that matters. We'll climb to about 10,000 feet, and then what I'll do is I'll stick it in autopilot, keep it nice and level, and then we can have a look around the aircraft in flight. Now we're going to have a look at the bomb bays, and they're all situated down here. Can't flick on the master arm, but you can load in baggage pods. Obviously Flight Sim or Microsoft don't want to promote any type of violence, so there's no actual weaponry involved in any of these marketplace sales. So anything that you do get will be either baggage pods or fuel tanks, so those sort of things. So if we rotate this to the right, and there we go, I've left the stores empty, but the door is open. If we jump back in, we can open the other side. So we come back down to here and rotate again and go over to the left hand side, and now the left hand bomb rack is now down and ready to deploy, obviously it being empty. So let's get back inside. I'm going to speed up, obviously we want to keep it stable, and just going to see what the overall performance is like. So rolling it over at 270 knots, pretty good, not bad at all, very stable. Okay, and I don't want to overstress the aircraft. Anyone seen that one flying where the wing falls off? I don't want that sort of situation going on. But yeah, I mean, you got to remember this thing will be flying at high altitude in the dark. It's not built to fly through canyons or dogfight. And it didn't even, I don't believe it even had any countermeasures, no flares or chaff. So they were very reliant on their stealth technology. Now, what I'm going to do is extend the aerial for the TACAN. So get back to Fairford. So extend that antenna again. Right. Okay, so it's 16 miles away. Should be on my nose somewhere. A lot of buffeting, feel the turbulence. The flight models were really nice, and they weren't wrong in saying that it was very sturdy. I mean, at 550 knots, there's not much control. I will say that. I've got full deflection on my surfaces, and it's hardly moving. So let's throttle that back. Okay, so we're about 6 miles away. On my nose, I can see the aircraft, the airfield is coming up now. drag chute out. Okay, and we're able to taxi back to our ramp. Right, okay, so to summarise the module, very impressed with it, to be honest, especially with the price that I paid for it. I will get into that shortly, as that actually plays quite a big factor into my whole summarisation of this model for Flight Sim. It's a stable enough platform. Again, it's a bit iffy when underpowered, so you've got to remember when you're flying slow that the aircraft can and very quickly become unstable. Again, at the other end of the spectrum, if you're travelling too fast, manoeuvrability becomes a bit of an issue. The roll rate becomes non-existent, and I'm not sure if that's a compressibility issue on the control surfaces at that speed for this aircraft, but when you find the happy medium for it, it's a beautiful aircraft to fly. All the systems, this is the first aircraft where I've just stepped right in and basically knew where everything was without even going through the manual. Nice, clearly labelled, everything where you'd want to be, the switches to be very ergonomic, very pilot friendly. APU systems good, engine startups good, lighting systems good, all the little extras like the blow-in doors, your radar cross-section monitoring system that lights up any issues in the cockpit is good. Blade aerials good, TACAN and ILS, even though in my previous flight, we'll scrub that, has been good so far. I think that might have just been a scenery issue, or more likely a piloting issue. But don't let that go against it. It's very good. I can't stress how good this is. Now to the price. Now I've bought some quite in-depth modules, mainly like on DCS, where you're paying like £60 for an in-depth module. That you'd expect. In Flight Sim, I've paid anything up to £30 for India Fox Techo's, I think it might have been the Goshawk, and the F-35s. Now again, you would expect that sort of money, pay that sort of money from those sort of developers for what you're getting, for your money. Now this, and taking into consideration and hoping that the developer will continue to add bits and pieces here and there as and when the sim matures, I paid £16 for this. That is an absolute bargain for what you're getting here. It really is. I can't stress that enough. In dollars, that's probably about $20, maybe a little bit less with the current exchange rate. That's insane for this sort of in-depth, for what it can be for Flight Sim. It really is very well made, and I'm hoping aerial simulations will continue and maybe make other flight modules and introduce those to Flight Sim, because they've definitely got a customer here waiting for them. Yeah, if you're looking for an F-117, this is the model for you. Superb flight model, easy to grasp. The manual's good. and the price is absolutely fantastic, as said by Gary Barlow many times. So yeah, if that's piqued your interest, go on to the Microsoft Flight Store, although again I would have preferred it to be a third-party vendor, not Microsoft. And yeah, £16. You can't argue with that. So yeah, with that I'm going to leave you with it. End the video here. If you've got this far, thank you for sticking around. I know I'll waffle on a bit, but it's a review. So yeah, thank you. As always, take care. I'll see you in the next one. Bonjour.